The Week with Ben Ellis.
This is Switch.
It's The Week with me, Ben Ellis, here on Switch Radio, joined once again by our co-host for this week from Weekend Breakfast and Daytime. Catch her on Wednesday afternoons. It's Terry Ann Coop. And you're back with us, Terry Ann? Yes, you are. I can see you there. That's great. And
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I'm here.
You are there. You are there. We're messing around with the camera. We've got the buttons pressing, but we're okay. Some more stories. We talked about coronavirus in our last section. One of the things we didn't get to. Have you had a go of that thing from the government this week where you enter your skills in and it tells you what you actually should do for a living?
Yeah, I have. And mine was a little bit avant-garde, I'm not going to lie.
Go on then. Go on. I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
So mine, I filled out the quiz. I said I was great at creative things. I said I liked to use my hands to do things. I said I was quite practical. And they decided to give me the job title of medical herbalist. And you can make of that what you will. Medical
herbalist. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know, I can imagine, knowing you as I've known you for 5 years now, right? And I'd imagine you putting those things in there and you were hoping Baker would come up, right? And I know you were hoping because, right, I can go on Bake Off. I can go on Bake Off and I can be a contestant because this makes me qualified and I want to go on Great British Bake Off. Don't lie. You're on camera. You were going to do that.
100%. If it had
100%.
said baker, chef, cake decorator, I'd have been like, yes, go on. This is my calling. But no, I got medical herbalist.
I got librarian.
Oh, I can't see you as a librarian. You're not quiet enough.
Way too loud. I'd be the world's loudest librarian. Anyway, on to sort of more serious stuff and a story that we're running today. A failing Birmingham care home did not report incidents of alleged abuse. It has been revealed. This is St Joseph Care Home on Silver Birch Road in Erdington. It was last week given a rating of inadequate by the Care Quality Commission for the second time in just 6 months, having also failed an inspection in July. These include incidents of alleged abuse concerning 3 people living at the home, neither of which had been reviewed or escalated to relevant authorities. Inspectors also found discarded paving stones and mattresses and missing fence panels in the home's garden. There's quite a lot more to this. We actually got in touch with the CQC to maybe have somebody come onto the show. They said nobody was available, but they'd give us an update, and we haven't had that update yet. So as soon as we give the update, we will put it on social media. But Terry Ann, I was just want to get your thoughts of course, it comes back to coronavirus again, and a lot of the if a lot of the deaths aren't being reported properly from care homes, as we saw earlier on in the year, lots of things aren't taken properly from care homes, and this sort of thing shockingly seems to go on under our noses, and it takes something like this to be reported for it to come to light. But it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's a complete and utter breach of trust. You know, anybody that goes forward to put a family member into a care home will know that it's one of the hardest things that you ever have to do. And yeah, I just think, unfortunately, if you found yourself in this situation, you will feel completely and utterly betrayed.
Indeed, it's one of those things. One of those things that just leaves a very, very bitter taste in the mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah, and for a COVID-19 inspection thing to kind of bring this up is a little bit crazy, isn't it? It can go under our noses for so long, and then for an inspection like that to show things like this, it just makes you think, doesn't it? How often is this happening?
You do wonder, indeed. There's been a few stories this week about license applications, because a lot of businesses are going to have to change the way they think, change the way they operate if they're going to survive, if things escalate to the point where Birmingham finds itself in tier 3 with coronavirus, of course, and so there's kind of vague rules on a pub could stay open if it rebrands itself as a restaurant or such and such. So a lot of businesses are going for licenses to keep themselves operational, to kind of adapt with the time. So we've got a Birmingham cafe and restaurant opposed by residents has been granted an alcohol license, but with conditions. This is the Flamingo Cafe and Restaurant, and it's on the site of the former Bull's Head in Lascelles near Villa Park. So despite local opposition, a lot of these license applications are going. But again, there's local what am I looking at? We're local opposition to a plan to install a hatch to serve food outdoors at Sutton Coldfield Bar. That should be rejected. So residents have to claim that the council risks creating a monster by granting more licensing applications. So that's just two examples, Terry Ann. But where do you stand on this? Do you think that you can understand where the locals are coming from, or do you think this is a good bit of initiative from the businesses to try and stay active in difficult times?
I think at the end of the day, businesses are having to get creative in the way that they think about their businesses. Serving, having a hatch so they can serve food outside, as long as they're doing that before the hours of 10 o'clock. I personally couldn't see that being a problem. After 10 o'clock, I see how residents might find that a bit of a disturbance. So I feel like I do sit in the middle because, especially with things like granting alcohol license, you have to think about the areas where these pubs and restaurants are, and if it's a highly residential area, are you going to be wanting people drinking and all coming out at 10 o'clock? I don't know. So I feel like I do sit in the middle of all that.
Yeah, it's faults, not faults. Faults is the wrong word, but on both sides, there's ways to look at this. Complaints about key service in the top 250. Grumbles about rubbish and recycling that made up more than a third of corporate complaints received by Solihull Council last year. 266 out of the 709 incidents flagged up in 2019-20 were connected to the service, which includes bin collections and running up the borough's tips, although the number of complaints about the service was well down on the previous year. I think it's a bit rich, right? And I've just moved from Solihull into the Birmingham borough. And for people in Solihull to complain about their bins being collected or the way the refuse service works in Solihull, when just across the border in Birmingham, people were going for months without having their bins collected, I think is actually quite a bit rich, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my parents live in Solihull. I live in Birmingham. And when they were getting their bins collected, whilst ours were sitting there, I think Birmingham has a long way to go until they get their rubbish system really sorted out. And I think with COVID-19 and the booking and all that, it's making it 10 times worse. So, yeah, Solihull, do you have much to complain about? I don't know.
Well, I never at the time. It was always a funny story, but the road we lived on, our side of the road was Solihull, but the opposite side was Birmingham. So during the bin strike, none of the bins across the road were getting collected, but ours were. So you kind of looked across the road. You felt kind of bad, really, for the folks who were not getting their bins. And my missus said, we've got to make sure we don't have any rubbish outside the house, because if there are rats across the road because of the uncollected bins, we don't want them crossing the road. I was like, what? Yeah, like the rats know, do they? So the rats know that one side is Birmingham and one side is Solihull. We had a higher class of rat in Solihull, I think was the way to look at it. But no, yes, we'll pay enough in council tax as it is. And we probably do expect a certain level of service, but I think, just my opinion, that some people aren't happy unless they're complaining, I think is the way to look at it. There's loads more stories. We don't really have time to do any more because we have kind of waffled on. But yourself, Terry Ann, what's happening with you, Switch Radio? When can we next hear you?
So you can next hear me next Wednesday from 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. I'm on air every Wednesday and also every Saturday and Sunday with Weekend Breakfast, as long as I get up on time.
Well, that is an important part of it. You know, it's part of the it's part of the idea that you get up to do the show. But there we go. I've got a week off because I've got Tuesday to do, but Stephen Higgs is back on Monday, so all well and good. So I've only got to do Tuesday and then the week next Sunday. So it's practically a week off, which is great. Yeah, and the good news is a bit of a throw up to next week. You are going to be talking with the MP of Sutton Coldfield, Andrew Mitchell, and
Yes.
we are going to broadcast that on the show next week, which is great. Can you quickly tell us what that'll be about, or do we have to wait?
So it's basically going to be about the Sutton residents, COVID-19, how Sutton Council have been kind of getting on with that. Going to be talking a little bit about how people have been combating isolation as well. I'll be meeting him over in Sutton at a tennis club as we look at... I know it sounds very fancy. I wish I was a member of this tennis club.
You will be afterwards. You will. By this time next week, you will be a member of that club.
But a lot of people have been combating their kind of lockdown, isolation, and being able to meet up with friends and things like that by going outside and playing tennis. So going to be speaking to him a little bit about that as well.
Terry Ann from Weekend Breakfast and Wednesday afternoons on Daytime. It's been an absolute privilege to have you on the show on the week.
Thank you for having me on.
For more great videos from the week, make sure you subscribe to our channel. It's down here somewhere. And don't forget, you can catch us on the radio every Sunday between 12 and 2 on FM across Birmingham, 107.5, on mobile, on DAB and online. We're made for Birmingham. This is Switch Radio.